On this channel, I primarily focus on ceremonial magic. That is because I am a ceremonial magician. That being said, you can't really be an occultist in the modern day without having some influence of chaos magic on your practice. So, today I want to talk about chaos magic. Again, I've done this in the past, but, we're going to cover it again for the newer people. I am Dave the Amateur Magus. On this channel I talk all about the mechanics behind ceremonial magic, occultism, esotericism, and the mechanics behind everything you can find within a dusty old grimoire. If you enjoy what I do here and you want to support the channel, link in the description to the Patreon where you can get exclusive access to videos early, Patreon exclusive content such as the Occultic Manual series, which is a monthly write-up that I aim at being more instructional than my usual video topics, but less unapproachable than, say, an old grimoire that I like to talk about on the channel. All of that over on the Patreon, link in the description, and I want to just thank all the people who are already supporting me on Patreon. You have my thanks for your continued and ongoing support. So let's talk about chaos magic, shall we? In the 1970s, after Aleister Crowley was long dead for about 30 years, a couple of occultists applied postmodernism to esoteric philosophy and tried to answer a very important question that we should all be paying attention to. What do you need to do in order to get magic to work as easily as possible? What is the minimum amount of work you need to do in order to get magic to function? This would then go on to become chaos magic. Now, chaos magic is going to be based on the chaos theory, which is a discipline of science and mathematics that focuses on determining underlying patterns and deterministic laws in dynamic systems. Its name, I believe, comes from the phrase, out of chaos comes order and out of order comes chaos. That is the underlying name of it. And by extension, this applies to chaos magic. Chaos magic seeks to understand the bare minimum of why certain magical things work, and it removes all religious dogma, it removes all systems. Hell, you could argue that chaos magic doesn't even have a system, though it can become one, more on that in a bit. But it tries to reduce magic to the barest of essentials. It tries to reduce magic to the ultimate and simplest forms in order to get magic to work. Chaos magic is where we get such wonderful things as sigil magic. Sigil magic being kind of the standout of all of chaos magic. Sigil magic is where you take a phrase, and in this case you could do a phrase of, I want a bunch of money, and you would sigilize it. Now, chaos magic would also tell you that you need to bind down actions not wanted, because I want a bunch of money could result in horrible things happening. But the way it would work is you would take that I want a bunch of money, you would remove all the vowels, you would remove repeating consonants, and then you would only have a series of non-repeating consonant letters. You would then go ahead and take those, and you would place them in a way to make a pictorial representation of your desired outcome. This is sigil magic in its barest and simplest form. Specifically, what I have just described is the Austin Osman Spare method of sigil magic. Austin Osman Spare is an interesting character who, if I was an occult history channel, I would be talking about him in significantly more depth. However, for the sake of this video, it is worth noting that he is effectively one of the forerunners of chaos magic. Now, most people will know chaos magic from the books Liber Null and Psychonauts. Both of these books are okay, in my opinion. They're okay. I don't particularly like them, but other people I know do, so your mileage may vary with them. These are older books that I've seen a lot of people really enjoy, and they are some people's first interactions with the occult, so that in and of itself is worth mentioning. Liber Null and Psychonaut being a lot of people's first interaction into the occult, from my experience, is kind of an older thing. You can actually usually tell a lot about somebody by what their first experience in the occult was. For example, a lot of people are getting into the occult, or at least did get into the occult, because Damien Eccles and the Midnight Gospel episode that he was on. That will tell you a lot about when somebody is, what their philosophy is when it comes to the occult. And chaos magic has a bit of an interesting problem attached to it. Now, this is kind of the elephant in the room when it comes to chaos magic, and I want to address it here. Chaos magic is a problem of, because there is nothing that is actually being restricted, some people will go off and go into kind of insane places with it. They will pick up in a book, they will come up with an idea to kind of twist the book, and then they will find that it will either work or won't work based on chaos magical principles. And I will give you a full example of this. There was a section of Franz Barden's books, I believe, where he mentions a concept called artificial elementals. Now, these are effectively servitors. We would call these servitors, but at the time, Barden called them artificial elementals, which there's nothing wrong with that. But somebody thought to themselves, well, if I'm making an artificial elemental, what would happen if I was to use different kinds of elements? You know, what would a heart elemental do? What would a lightning elemental do? What would a dragon-type elemental do? What would a grass-type elemental do? This then led the individual to do an experiment where he would make servitors based off of a fictional media franchise, which I will not be saying the name of, but he was using the trading cards from that series in order to make these servitors. And what he found was that they acted basically the way you would expect them to act. The lightning elementals were much more, good with electronics. The fire ones were, of course, more destructive and needed to be more regularly maintained and directed. The grass ones were more nature-flavored. You see where this is going. This is what chaos magic does. In a normal magical system, you would not be thinking, hey, what can we do with these different types of elements, and what could we do with a system based off of this, right? What would a light elemental do, right? What would a dark elemental do? You wouldn't be thinking about that. Chaos magic gives you the freedom to unshackle yourself from the established norms and go ahead and actually figure out what those would do. Chaos magic also focuses on the psychological paradigm a lot more than traditional or ceremonial magic does. Usually ceremonial magic will, depending on the source, will think that there is a lot of stuff that involves the mind, but a lot of times when you do ceremonial magic, you have some understanding of you're going to be talking to spirits, you're going to be talking to some kind of entity. And this is where we have the Goetia and all of that. But when it comes to chaos magic is probably the one form of magic where you can straight up just believe that it's all in your head and you will be totally fine. This is where things like Austin Osman Spare's 8 consciousness circuits comes from, I believe. I believe it's 8. From Prometheus Rising. Yeah, he has an entire system in there that is completely divorced from any ceremonial system, but allows you to go through a kind of initiatory system as well, though it is couched in this is the way that your brain functions, and this is different ways of looking at it so that you can manipulate it better. One of the first examples of that in the book is that he goes ahead and he explains the concept of the thinker and the prover. Whatever the thinker believes, whatever the thinker thinks, the prover proves. This is in a very kind of subtle way using confirmation bias for magical purposes. Confirmation bias, for those of you who have not studied psychology, is the psychological principle where your brain will try to prove that which you believe is true. If you believe that good things are happening, confirmation bias will say that good things are happening, look around you, and you will only be paying attention to things that confirm your bias. Hence, confirmation bias. This is one of the first examples that Austin Osman Spare gives in Prometheus Rising. In modern times, I've seen a lot less people take up the moniker of Chaos Magician. There seems to have become a bad reputation attached to Chaos Magician because people hear chaos, don't understand what it means, and think chaotic neutral. A lot of people who will do chaos magic at least what chaos magic philosophically is trying to do, and they will go ahead and do it in a very kind of methodical manner, but they will not call themselves chaos magicians. It will shock a lot of people to know that I do a decent amount of chaos magic, but when I say chaos magic, I'm referring to things that I've tried and tested. You know, sigil magic is chaos magic, but, you know, I'm not going to call myself a chaos magician just because I do sigils and engrave them into a candle every once in a while. People have asked if what I do with candle magic is considered voodoo or hoodoo. It's basically a chaos magic version of a similar practice. Most places in the modern world have access to candles, and different places have come up with different methods of using candles in magic, right? I just have a different version that I've experimented with and modified based on my years of practice. So yeah, this has been a little bit of a look into chaos magic. Personally, for those of you looking into chaos magic, I would recommend Prometheus Rising, Liber Nolan Psychonauts, and those are really the ones that I would recommend. Other than that, that's all I got. So hope everyone is having a good day. If you're not having a good day, hope your day gets better. Take it easy. Take care.